On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the Avs get a win, and that's a good thing. The way they had to do it, though, is not so good thing. Let's talk about that on a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. And if you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, and we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. We'll do that a little bit later when the subtext crew chimes in on this game. Update on our subtext bracket going on. I'm winning it right now. So I fully expected somebody else to, and there's a long way to go. Don't get me wrong. But when we said, the winner becomes the mayor for a year, I can't accept that. If like one of us wins, like I have to defer, don't I? I can't.
It's okay. I'm going to get with the rest of the citizens of Subtextia, and we'll create a coup.
Yes, you'll vote me out, basically.
Yep.
All right, we'll figure that out when we get to, if we have to cross that bridge. But I am. I'm only winning by like a point, so long way to go. You and I will be going head to head later this week. You're the Auburn fan, I'm the Michigan fan, so that now they're going head to head. That'll be fun. But let's get back into hockey and the Colorado Avalanche, because this one was wild, Kyle. The Avs seem to have this thing locked up 4-1. There's like 11 minutes or so to go. And then something just happened where Montreal just turned into the greatest team in the NHL, while the Avalanche turned into the Chicago Blackhawks and just could not do anything right. That was just, we'll go over the whole game, but what Montreal was doing when they got into the groove there was, I haven't seen anything like that all year from anybody. It was every single possession was an opportunity to score a goal. And for an Avalanche team that is a very good team and has been playing excellent defense as of late, I was like, how can they not? What is going on here? Montreal ties it, goes into overtime. Nothing happens in overtime. Well, a lot happened in overtime, but no goals are scored in overtime. Then it goes to the shootout. And miraculously, the Avalanche win it in a shootout, and they escape this thing with 2 points. But, man, it was going from we're on cruise control to we got to hold on for dear life here.
Yeah, and you touched on it right there. And, hey, the Avs win in a shootout. That never happens. Yeah. And I think you touched on it. Like, the Avs were in cruise control. This is honestly – and this is what we like to call garbage time. This is when really everything starts settling in, locking up, and everything's, you've got your visions, like everybody's already planning for Dallas with that first round. And it's not a lot can happen for the Avalanche here. So yes, cruise control is a mode that you will often go into, and especially when you have that kind of lead. But look across the ice. That is a team that is fighting for their last playoff spot hope. Every game truly matters. So one team, yes, you can go on cruise control, survive, win or lose, nothing really happens. But it's a different story for Montreal. Win or lose, if you want to get in, you really got to push. So that's what that was. That felt like desperation. And you know what? I'm glad it happened to Colorado. If you want to close out a series, if you want to make a way through the playoffs, you're going to have teams give you this kind of effort. And maybe it's a little bit of a wake-up call. Yes, you can go into cruise control, but you still got to do the job. And every shot Montreal was taking in those last waning minutes, it was on net. Like a lot of the Avalanche shots that go wide, left, right, taking shots for the sake of taking shots, it's not going to help you when a team is desperately playing for their season in that way. And the vibe and the pressure kind of dissipated a little bit in overtime because, hey, you got a point. That's good. That can help you. But, man, you really want to hold on in those moments. And we've seen a couple times already, even with this new look Avalanche team, like 20 seconds can change a game. And that's basically what happened. It was about 40 seconds between those two goals, a minute, and it's a completely different hockey game.
I'll push back a little bit on, that for the Avalanche, it doesn't mean anything, because it does, man. Like, Minnesota's on your back. Like, we are feeling like, that everything is going to be round one Stars and Avalanche. That doesn't mean Minnesota's just lying over and just saying, we'll just accept that. And they're right on you still. So, I mean, there's at this stage in the season, like, there's a lot to play for with every team, no matter where they're at in the standings. But for Montreal, and I'll say, the Avalanche aren't gonna go into a cruise control mode before a game even starts.
Yeah, true.
Did they, like, at this stage in the game? Maybe, but I don't want to say that, because that takes away from Montreal, and I'm not going to do that, because what Montreal did was what they did not quit, and that is a different arena, man. Like everybody says that's a bucket list arena, if you're a hockey fan, and you can just hear it. There's a different vibe when that team scores a goal, just coming through your television speakers. It's a different roar of the crowd than really any other arena. And then when they got 4-2, that it was silent. But when they got the 4-2 goal, it's like, we're not out of this thing, and you can just feed off of that crowd. And Montreal did. And boy, did they just give you everything they had. And it was a little bit surprising that the Avalanche just didn't have an answer. You could have just gone back to, okay, we let them get back in this thing. It's 4-2. It's going to make the end of this game interesting, but let's just stop it right there. Stop it right there. Get back to what we've been doing for the first 50 minutes of this game. And that's not to say that the Avalanche were in complete control of this game. This was a fun game for the duration of it, and this was almost an old school type of game. A lot of bumping and bruising, a lot of after whistle shenanigans. But I liked it. I like this. And I like that the Avalanche have a team that can stand up to teams who are going to be aggressive with you. And that's Montreal. And I was loving it. And then, Montreal, like, you were going back and forth, especially in the second. There was a lot of back and forth of, this team has the advantage and the other team has the advantage. A lot of back. And then something just clicked in Montreal where they're just like, we are not going to let up at all. And they clawed their way back into this thing. I give them a ton of credit here.
Yeah, and you're looking at two different opponents, because the last game you played against Ottawa, it was that first period was shaping up very similar. Like, you're getting your pressure, you're getting your goals, everything's working for you. And that came kind of about after 5 minutes in that first period, because to start, it was very sloshy. It felt like the Avs couldn't get their feet, couldn't get passes in the right way, but something finally clicked for Colorado, and then they got right back to business. They got that lead, and they were carrying it. It felt good. And then Montreal just kept pushing. It was almost like you're talking about the Bell Center being like a completely different arena. It's like Nashville of the North, like the chanting, the environment up there. It's almost like soccer environment, the chanting, the singing, like it's all one. It's very nice. And also it's playoff prep. It's a really good environment for the Avalanche to learn in. But that second period where there was a little bit of pushback, it was extra physicality, and it's one of those, the Avs are looking at Montreal like, you shouldn't have to be playing like this. And a lot of the looks and body language was kind of like looking down, like, come on, it doesn't have to be like this. Let's get back to the game. There was frustrations. Nobody really caved to those frustrations. The penalties were getting lopsided.
Yeah.
You like to see that shore up a little bit, but for the Avs to hold on and like snap out of it towards the end, like literally the end, I appreciate that. I like that, but I'm glad the Avs learned how to get themselves out of putting it in snooze, because you saw, like, when a team pushes back, they were waiting. They were waiting for that moment. They knew the Avs were going to get to it. And honestly, if you watch the Avs for the past year, the Avs will get in that mode where they get their lead, and then they just kind of rest. And Montreal hit them right where they should have. And it's comforting to see the Avs wake back up, but you watch them try and adjust. And they tried to play faster and faster, and you saw it get sloppier and sloppier. And they had to really slow it down. And getting into that mentality of just going simple is what's really benefiting the Avs. It's just getting that to be your first reaction instead of using your skill to outskill everybody in those moments of desperation.
Are you talking about in the second period?
Yes.
Okay, because in the third period, they didn't have that.
No.
The Avs didn't have that. Like I said, in the second, I thought there was a lot of good back and forth. And like I said, there was, one team would kind of have the advantage and kind of keep that. They stack shifts. And then it switch, go to the other side. A lot of good back and forth. And then like I said, something happened in the third where the Avalanche just did not have an answer. And you typically get used to the Avs having an answer to when a team scores one on you and like, okay, let's just get back to how we've been playing. And Montreal did not let that happen. It was incredible to watch. And Montreal's built, they're an interesting team.
Yeah.
Like they have a lot of skill players on like their top lines, and then their bottom lines and their defense are just bruisers. And they're kind of built that way to like when our top guys are out there, that's when we're going to score. And when our bottom guys are out there, we're going to make it heck for you. It's an interesting dynamic. And I'm curious to see if they make the playoffs, what they do in the playoffs. They could be an interesting team and a difficult team to bounce depending on who they're playing, obviously. But more want to get to with this game, including some individual players, of course. We got our subtext crew and our sound check. So a lot more to get to with this. So don't go anywhere.
Did you know getting a good night's sleep is the #1 recipe for long-term success in life? I didn't. It took me way longer to realize than I'd like to admit. It was years of tossing and turning. I was always tired. I never felt like I could live up to my potential, but not anymore. Thanks to Bear Mattress. I used their sleep quiz and I matched with the Elite Hybrid. It's perfect for side sleepers like me. Now I wake up energized. I'm getting deeper sleeps and I'm ready to attack the day. No matter how you sleep, Bear Mattress has a match for you with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout for 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
All right. So kind of getting back into this game, I thought that, you had some changes again in roster. Obviously you have Sammy G, who is out right now. So is Josh Manson. But on the forward side, Miles Wood got in the game and Jimmy Vesey got in the game, and Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor got the night off. And as that game went on, I kind of, maybe it was twofold on why Jared Bednar did that. I didn't listen to the after or even before if he said anything leading up to the game as to why those were the moves he made. But you could see like the way that Montreal plays, you might need a beefier team. And putting Wood and Vesey in there, they can kind of handle that stuff. Not that Parker Kelly can't, but he is a stature wise, he's not Miles Wood or Jimmy Vesey.
Yeah.
And Logan O'Connor, while he can handle his own, there's some big dudes over there on Montreal. So maybe that's why, and maybe it's just to give Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor a day off. Why not? So you had that change, and Miles Wood had a really good opportunity earlier in the game, just a little bit too close to Montembeault to get around him. But you could tell when he doesn't play for a little while, he wants to get all those minutes back as quickly as possible because he's flying around. I didn't think he had a terrible game, but Jimmy Vesey, I didn't really notice all that much during the game.
Yeah, I think Miles Wood had that. I think that was his second shift where he had that attempt at that
Yeah.
like end around, and that was basically it for Miles Wood for the
Yeah.
game.
I mean, he was skating around and trying to throw his weight around, but you're right.
That was about it for him. And VC was invisible, which makes you realize what a stud Parker Kelly has become for this team. You truly miss the presence. You're like, oh yeah, Miles Wood, he's still a thing. And he kind of came out, did his little thing, and disappeared. So
Yeah.
Hey, at least they got a chance.
The first goal of the night came from an absolute rocket from Sam Malinsky. I'm pretty sure it was Kiviranta, who passed the puck back to him. They were kind of on a nice rush, and Kiviranta passes it back to Malinsky, who's entering the zone, and he just rockets that thing. The more this season goes on, the more he is just getting more and more comfortable. And I don't know, man, like it's going to be interesting to see this. This is an off-season conversation, but I'll just throw it out there now of what this team does defensively, depth defensively. He's in the mix. He has made himself like, I am an everyday player for this team because he's been wonderful since coming back from Four Nations break.
Yeah, I was about to say Malinsky has really found his footing, his role, his skill, his confidence. All of that has come since the Four Nations. I don't know what mountain and what wise elder he consulted during that Four Nations break, but keep it going, because I jumped off the couch, twisted my ankle, fell on the floor. It was gorgeous. Like I was just, but see, the thing is, when that comes to that off-season conversation, you got to see what he does in the playoffs. Like this is a great build. I want to see what playoff Malinsky looks like. Then talk to me, my friend.
Yeah. But your first two goals, Malinsky got your first, and then Lindgren got your second.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're getting goals from no matter where it's coming from, it's great. When your first two come from, depth defensive guys, usually he says, hey, we're going to roll with this game. Good Lord. But so Lindgren gets your second one on a pretty nice play. The guys were getting really good looks early on.
Hey, you want another little bonus stat, because I love throwing those out?
Mm-hmm.
Nathan McKinnon didn't have a single point.
I was going to mention that.
Brock, I wanted to throw that out there because Brock Nelson is the only player to have a multi-point night. Everybody else had individual points. And this is a depth point. Like, this is a broad stroke of look at the depth for this Colorado Avalanche. You won a nail biter that you could have lost, should have lost at a certain time, but you won in a shootout without the help of Nathan McKinnon. So that gives you a lot of peace knowing about this roster construction, and all the Brock haters, I think he's settling into a very nice role.
Yeah. Cale Makar as well. He didn't have a point either. So that makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For all you've heard from, the Avalanche detractors of like, oh, they're just a one-line team, a top-line team. You've seen since the break, or since the trade deadline, I should say. This is a much more well-rounded team, and you're seeing that. You're getting goals from your defensemen now. Charlie Coyle, was the first guy out for the shootout, which surprised me, and he gets a goal on that. So, they're helping in that regard as well. But you started to hear a little bit of, I don't know, of chirping for Brock Nelson. I think people just want someone to get into that role and just be like Nathan McKinnon. And, there's a lot that goes into players being traded, and someone who's been with one team for so long, there's adjustment periods. It happens. And again, we talked about this before. Like, I don't think he's been playing poorly, but people want to see points going on the board and goals going in the net. And you're starting to get that from him now. So 3 goals in the last 2 games. And if he's settling in nicely, it just makes his team even more dangerous.
And I think, and this comes from the biggest Nas guy that ever lived. I think everybody keeps wanting, and they keep screaming, and they're asking him to fill this manufactured shadow of Nazem Kadri that really didn't exist. Go back and watch those games that Nas had. You're getting it's inflated when you go back and look at the numbers that he put up during that season. But like the production that Brock is giving you right now, and the veteran leadership and the cooler head. Remember, it was a thing when Nas hit the playoffs. Could he make it all the way through without getting suspended?
Right.
Like, Brock is not that threat. He is cool, calm, collected, and now he's finding his offensive touch. So that's extremely dangerous. I think when all is said and done, I think Brock might be a better option. Especially, I can't wait to see what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But just rest on this. This is a good, solid 2C.
And if they can, keep him around for more than just this year, that remains to be seen. But overall, like this game, I want to say it was enjoyable, but it for a while it wasn't. Towards the end, I liked the back and forth of this game. You had, like I said, moments for both teams where Montreal had a 5-on-3 for well over a minute, and the Avs kill it. So that's a huge thing for the Avalanche side of things. You flip it over to Montreal. The Avs have a power play in overtime, which usually a power play in overtime, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably pretty high where those games end in overtime. And the Avs couldn't get anything close, came really close. I think shots in overtime, and it helps to have a power play, of course, were 7-1 in favor of Colorado. So, you're pretty much in control of the overtime, and they were. Had some really good looks, some great saves on both ends. I know a lot of people maybe want to get on Mackenzie Blackwood for this. I don't blame him for this. I really don't. Like, go back and watch those last 10 minutes, and the Avs just defensively just completely broke down.
Yep.
They were just chasing everything, and they were just trying to have time run faster. Because for some reason I don't know if there was a crowd that got to them. I think they were just in a state of panic, and it's odd to see an Avalanche team be that way. When we're done here, I definitely am going to go watch Bednar's comments, because I'm interested to see what he's got to say. Usually this team does not panic, and they either were, or they just got out of their own heads and were just chasing everything, and Montreal was just on them. So
yeah, you could see that looking at the stats. The Avs they outshot Montreal in the first, and then they were outshot ever since until overtime. You gave Montreal 4 power plays. They went 0 on the power play. You were 1 for 2 on the power play, Colorado. Like, you were efficient when you finally got the call, but you were giving Montreal every opportunity to catch that momentum and change the game. That defense definitely, I don't know if it's just the weird adjustments without, Sammy G in there. We've been without Manson for a little while. You have EJ back there, so we'll see how that goes. But, like, you would like to see a little bit more from the defense, and that goes on Cale Makar and Taze. Taze was making some mistakes in this game, and you want to see that cleaned up. But, I mean, you survived, and I'm not putting any of that on Blackwood.
No, there were some really good defensive plays by the it's just that section of time in the third where they just couldn't seem to do anything right defensively. But leading up to that, I thought they played another really good defensive game. They really did. Offensively, again, you get a little bit of line shifting, and I'm looking at them now. So the Drouin, McKinnon, and Nichushkin line. By the way, Nichushkin I thought had a great game, and his forechecking on that one play, he forced the guy to turn it. Like, if he could score it on that goal, that would have been one of the best goals of the year. That was a phenomenal play. Like, I thought he had a really good game. But anyway, that line, their shots for Corsi for was 15, and their Corsi against was 15. The line that's starting to do some damage here, Kyle, is the Lehkonen, Brock Nelson, and Marty Nashis line. They were 20, Corsi for of 20, Corsi against of 9. So Bednar is doing, like, he's testing a lot right now. I don't want him to do that, because I'd rather go with the lines that you want to go into the playoffs with and get them as much time as possible now. But I'm not going to question Jared Bednar, and he's changing things up a little bit. He even put Brock Nelson on. I don't think he did it in this game. Against Ottawa, he had Brock Nelson on a wing with Nathan McKinnon. And it's like, hey, here's your 2C. Let's throw him on a wing now. But
when you're looking at the calendar, you see Montreal and Ottawa coming up. These are the games to experiment before playoff time. You don't want to like
that's sliding Ottawa and Montreal. Like they're playoff teams.
I get it. But
Yeah.
this is where you want to do it. You're not giving up ground in your division. Like, it's going to be a great opponent. Like, if this is Chicago, you're doing whatever. But like, you want to get these guys tested. You don't want to just throw them out there and over assume what they're going to bring you when you have an inferior opponent. Like, these are good teams, but you're not going to lose a lot of ground if something goes wrong, and you can easily adjust. But test it. I'm all for testing it before the playoffs instead of in the playoffs, and that's just a hole you can't get out of.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from our subtext people, and then our sound check will be coming up after this. All right, let's hear from 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us once again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. And whether you're staying up late to watch the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Kyle pretty much lives off this stuff.
You betcha.
Yeah, you have a favorite flavor?
It's whatever I could grab that day. There's not been a flavor of 5 Hour Energy that I do not like. I love them
all pretty good. Yeah. So head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blueberry, blue raspberry, and peach mango. And you can even build your own 12-pack or build your own 24-pack and have it delivered right to your door. If you need one now, grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store, because they're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized at 5hourenergy.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, sir. Let's head on over to Subtext Land and see what our friends over there have to say. We got Vargar says Blackwood changed it up. He was good in the shootout, but stunk in regulation. No, I don't agree with that, man. I don't think he was terrible. He was very good in regulation, and it is odd to see him have a good shootout based on that last one that he had, which is horrible. But again, I think it's so easy to put this on Blackwood. Please go back and watch it. Avs were just completely out of position defensively and could not get the puck out of the zone. It was, you use the term that tilt the ice. It was literally like the ice was genuinely tilted. And the Avs just played horrible and just gave them fantastic looks, which they have scorers on that team. And they know how to put the puck in corners and beat you with sound, solid shots. I do not put this on Mackenzie Blackwood at all.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Blackwood was kind of left out to dry through the, portions of the second and especially the third.
Yep. Tanner says, how about those Brock Nelson trade haters right now? Yeah, like I said, you started to hear it wasn't to the level of where it got with Middlestat by the end of his time here. Like, I think enough time had passed with Casey Middlestat where people were like, is it ever going to change for him? And calling for trade and all that stuff. It wasn't that. Like, it was nowhere near that with Brock Nelson. I think it was just a little bit impatience.
Yeah.
And just, again, that 2C position just being so difficult for the Avs to shore up. And while I think we all think he is the guy, people wanted to start seeing the results from it. In the results being points. Like, he's been fine out there and he hasn't been a liability at all, but people want to start seeing some production and assists, and you're getting that now.
Yeah, he doesn't make mistakes there. He's just not meeting everybody's imaginary 2C role and job requirements. Just give it time.
Yep. Cody says, from a non-biased perspective, this was a 10 out of 10 game. He's right. That's true. Like if you just tuned into this game and you're not an Avs fan or a Canadiens fan, you just wanted to watch a hockey game. That
Hockey
was a
night in
great
Canada.
there you go. That was a great hockey game. If you're an Avs fan, it was a good hockey game, then a frustrating hockey game. And if you're a Canadiens fan, it was a frustrating game, then a great hockey game. And hey, we got a point out of that. But it would have been nice to get two. Like there's so many emotions going on from if you're a fan of these teams to if you're just a hockey fan. And Twitter was blowing up across the board with all the people that I follow just be like, Canadians tied it up. This game is crazy. And it's true. So that's a really good point, Cody, for pointing that out. Show this game to someone you want to get into hockey. Nordiques versus Montreal feel, in my opinion. But from a bias perspective, I have opinions. Second period, we took a couple too many penalties, and the refs seemed allergic to an Avs power play call. But more importantly, when there is 12 minutes on the clock in regulation, don't let up and relax, because that's how you end up losing a 3-goal lead. And finally, we won in a shootout, and I'm generally shocked about that. Yeah, there was a lot of chippiness going on, a lot of penalties, and then a lot of like missed calls. How they didn't call a penalty in overtime on I don't know who it was on Montreal, but I think it was Lehkonen who got like clipped right in front of the he's forechecking, and he just rolls over him.
Yeah.
Is that not the definition of interference?
Yeah, there was a lot of misinterference that I don't understand what they were looking for or letting allow, but at least you got through with two.
Yeah. Christina says, going to have to stop making predictions because I always seem to be wrong. Join the club. Christina.
Yeah, it's my biography.
It took the foot off the gas for a bit, and they paid for it. Happy for Brock and Charlie. Blackwood actually looked pretty solid in that shootout. And Christina's got a sound check. Jimmy Buffett, close call.
Oh, God, I love Jimmy Buffett.
You got to love Jimmy Buffett. I've actually been to Key West and been to his cheeseburger place down there.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad.
Pirate Looks at 40 is one of my all-time favorite songs.
See, that's the thing with Jimmy Buffett. Like, I know it, other than like Cheeseburger in Paradise and what's the other popular one he's got? Like,
Margaritaville.
Margaritaville. Like, other than those two, I don't know them by name. So I probably know that one that you just threw out there, but I have to go listen to it. Let's see. Kay says, heart attack, boys, strike again. Give it to Montreal for not giving up. And to Blackwood for practicing shootouts. Would have liked to see them win just 4-1, but you got to admit it was exciting. I can admit that now because they got the extra point, and I'm a little over it. But right off the bat, like I was frustrated.
I could get the frustrations, but you also got to look big picture. And I'm glad they learned these lessons now.
And this is hockey. Like this happens. You don't want it to happen to you, but it happens. So that's why the sport's a great sport. All right, let's get to our sound check and wrap this up. This is where Kyle and I pick a song that summarizes the most recent game. Put these songs up on a playlist, which you can follow along over on Spotify. Just search for LOA Soundcheck. Volume number 4 is what these go on. What do you got?
I'm going way out of my norm. This one's coming from the English Beat.
Okay.
And it's Save It for Later. It's great little like 80s tune. It's a great song. Honestly, that's on the takeaway from this game. Everything because again, you got to constantly remind yourself the trade deadline, you basically refreshed your team. And you needed this team to, yes, experiment, talking to you, Bednar, and you also need to get punched in the mouth. And you need to overcome that. Everything, if you crossed your eyes and watched this game, this was recipes and ingredients of playoff hockey, even though the opponent might not be to that level. That this was playoff hockey, and you need to learn how to win these games. Everything's not going to come easy, and it kind of has been since the trade deadline. You've had some really good games, and things go your way. Goalies playing out of their mind. You're getting goals from where you need to. And we mentioned Kale and Nate were a non-factor. You still won this game, and you almost let this game get away from you, and you won it in a shootout. Like, all of these things are things you need to learn, and you get to see the Avalanche do. So you know they can do it. Save it for later and bring that out in the playoffs.
Put it in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that one. For me, we looked up the year. Well, I didn't tell you what the song was yet, but I told you when it came out. 1965. remember that year like I wasn't even born yet because I wasn't.
I bet you it was awesome.
Yeah, it seems like it was cool because this song from the Animals came out then. We Got to Get Out of This Place is the name of the song.
Let's go.
Because I just feel like you escaped that.
Yeah.
You escaped it. And just imagine if you had lost the extra point. I don't know how much different this episode would be. I think I'd be chalking it up to like, that's just bad, but it might be going more to what you're saying of like, that's as good of a learning experience as you can have, especially with all these new guys on the team. But yeah, I feel like, you escaped there. So let's get out of this place and not come back until next year because, or the Stanley Cup final, which I don't know if anybody thinks that's going to be the final, but hey,
the closer you get to the playoffs, you're going to get more games like this than you will Ottawa games. And you've got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Teams are not going to give up in the regular season, and teams are definitely not going to give up in the playoffs. So
especially not Detroit coming up on Tuesday.
Yeah,
they are definitely not going to roll over.
So you do have, I think, four games in a row at home now. This road trip, wacky one. And we said at the beginning of it, you always want to win more than you lose on a road trip. The Avs did that. It was wild. 3 completely different games. Toronto, the ref tripping over the ice, and then the Taves own goal. That's how Toronto beat you. You just go on a great stretch in Ottawa, a little bit of a slow start, but once things kicked into high gear in Ottawa, you just blew the doors off of them. And then this game in Montreal, where you had things pretty much in hand. And like we've said over this whole show, you surrendered. They didn't surrender the lead in that they took the lead, but they came back and tied you, and then you needed a shootout to win. This road trip had everything, Kyle, everything. And in the end, the Avs won more than they lost. They're 2-1-0, and 4 out of 6. I'm okay with that.
Yep,
I'm okay with that. So now you go home for 4, and like Kyle said, Tuesday is against Detroit. Always a fun one against the Red Wings. So we'll be back for that one. We'll be back on we'll be back on Tuesday. So whatever goes on between now and then in Avalanche land, we're going to talk about it. So tune into that. But thank you for tuning into this one and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys later in your 24 hours closer, where Sidney Crosby is in a Colorado Avalanche uniform.
Can he score goals?